There we go. Okay. All righty. So let me start. Welcome back to the CEO podcast, where we dive into the stories behind the leadership in the cannabis industry, the visionaries, the risk takers, and the purpose driven entrepreneurs who are changing the game. I'm your host, Paul Garduque, and today I'm sitting down with Kyle Holland, the principal of Southpaw Strategies LLC, a Michigan industry. And we're going to go beyond business today, exploring the core four ideas that define who we are: body, being, balance, and business. Kyle Holland, welcome to the show.
Hi, Paul.
Hi. How you feeling today?
Just fantastic. Thank you very much for asking.
Oh, good, good. Especially now that harvest is done, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I hear you. Let's see. Okay, so let's start with your journey. Before the brand, before the business, who are you and how did you end up in the cannabis space?
That's a really interesting question. I majored in philosophy as an undergraduate, which I've got a stock joke for that. That prepares you to either teach philosophy or paint houses for a living, and or do take a third track, which is go to law school, which is what I did. I'm happy to have that schooling because cannabis, it turns out, is a highly regulated industry, and having some background in regulation is invaluable for sure. But I, instead of sitting for the bar exam, I started in the real estate business, which collapsed in 2007, 2008, right about the time when Colorado legalized cannabis. And I decided to pivot into that industry, at least temporarily. Well, turns out it wasn't a temporary change. Flash forward to 2025, I'm still in it, and I love what I do.
Wonderful. So let me ask you a question. How did you get from Colorado to Michigan?
That's a great question. I was born in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I was working in investing in contracting services for real estate, and when the housing market collapsed, I got a call from friends in Colorado who said, "Would you consider relocating because you do construction and they had other strengths. I was part of the puzzle, so I moved out there again, figuring, hey, this will be 6 months. It turned out to be a couple of years in lovely Denver. It's a great place to live and work. And then shortly thereafter, Illinois legalized medical cannabis, and I returned to my home state for that. Michigan is a hop and a skip away. I took a position. I was offered a partnership in a cannabis enterprise in Michigan, which it was an hour commute. Now I'm doing the Michigan thing.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and I've ended up seeing a lot of different places in our great nation as a result of being in the cannabis business.
Well, we definitely have our share. I understand you even lived in San Francisco for a time. Didn't you tell me that last time?
I did. That's when I was in high school. The my folks worked out there, and we relocated for their business. And I love San Francisco.
So do
That's
I.
for sure. Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah, it's a little piece of heaven.
Sure.
But I'm not gonna lie, the Midwest, I've been having more of an interest in it lately myself, especially since Michigan's, becoming a little controversial
Sure.
with its
Yep.
24% tax.
Yeah, I'd love to talk plenty about that. Although that might be a little off topic. It's certainly something that everybody's struggling with right now, for sure. What do we do?
That's Oh yeah, I understand completely. And you're right, we are getting off topic. I'm sorry. But what first inspired you to get involved in the cannabis industry? That's my next question.
Sure. It was an opportunity. I'm a fan of the category. But put an asterisk on that. With moderation, I think everything is best in moderation. Um,
Hmm.
I love pot, and and I thought that working in the business could be lucrative. It is somewhat. My bills are getting paid, which I'm happy about. So it was a. I'm sure I'm not rare in the fact that it's a marriage of personal interest and the need to have a vocation. And I'm not sorry that I picked the cannabis business. I think that there are some people that are. Here's a nasty little secret. It really is work. At the end of the day, I'm tired, and it takes a lot of energy to produce cannabis at scale, uh, but it's a rewarding thing. This cannabis production process. So
Well, I'll be honest. I'm glad to hear it's worth it. I'm like I said, I'm new, so
sure.
I'm any any encouragement I will happily take.
Yeah.
So, what problem or purpose drives your mission today?
Problem or purpose? I don't know that any problems are driving my mission. If there's a purpose, um, uh, and perhaps a purpose is maybe a loftier aspirational term, but I certainly do have a goal in mind, and that is to bring mechanization to cannabis. I'm a shade tree engineer. I love to build things, weld, come up with harebrained ideas, a few of which actually work out. And what regular farmers do, I'll say in air quotes, regular farmers being folks that grow vegetables and grain crops and that sort of thing. They have the benefit of specialized machines for whatever crop they may be working in, and that doesn't really exist, not in a mature and satisfying way in the cannabis business. So that's a big thing that gets me up in the morning is how to make cannabis cultivation more efficient, how to make it better, how to bring it into the 21st century.
I understand automation's becoming a big thing these days,
Sure.
and in AI, especially with AI, they're starting to focus on that more. And go figure, it's making my industry even obsolete.
Uh, yeah, I understand that. That's certainly a risk. I think that's a risk for people, in accounting, people in law, for
Hmm.
sure. People who use their brains to crunch numbers and concepts. What I'm doing on the farm is a little bit different. It's a it's it's physical work, and automation and mechanization are helpful. I don't know if I'm going to be get put out of business by a computer anytime soon, quite honestly. So more job security.
That is true. That's very true. And
Yep.
you compared it to construction last time, so because you worked construction in the past, right?
Yes, that's right. I owned a construction company for a number of years, and that's come in handy mostly because farms need construction. Barns, the machines that you use in the construction business are often used in farming as well. The whole process of breathing life into a piece of property, turning a piece of property from bare piece of ground into an operating production facility requires a little expertise in construction. So I've been able to use that for sure.
Ah, okay. And what do you wish more people understood about this industry and your role in it?
Wow, that's interesting. There are probably a couple of different groups that I would hope to bring greater understanding to. One group is, you know, those people that are outside of the cannabis business, and I'd like them to understand basically how what I do is, in my opinion, rather wholesome.
Hmm.
I'm a farmer. It can't get any more um, earthy than that. And I don't do anything really differently than any other farmer does in the course of a day. In fact, we're all organic, not by choice, but that's what the state demands.
Requires.
Although I do prefer that style of cultivation. So I'd like people on the outside of the cannabis business to understand the wholesomeness of outdoor cannabis cultivation, which is my stock and trade. And then there are the folks that are within the cannabis industry, and my message to them would be a little bit different, which would focus on, hey, look at the possibilities here. Look at what mechanization can do. Look at how best practices can lower cost and improve yield. There are what the cannabis business is today, and what it will be in 10 years from now, it looks very different. And there are some people who will continue to ply their trade in the same way without too much innovation. And then there's a group of people out there who are innovating, and they're gonna do a lot, and they deserve some attention. I want to be part of that group. I don't know that I am yet, or maybe I am, but innovation is huge. So um, two different groups, two different messages.
Fair enough. And that's powerful. It's always fascinating to see how passion and purpose align. So let's shift gears a little and talk about you, the person behind the work, starting with your body. Running a cannabis company takes serious stamina, mentally and physically. How do you keep your energy and focus sharp?
That's a really interesting question. Uh, One might be to not ask anybody on the farm to do anything that I wouldn't do. So um, I don't spend all of my time in the office. I do have to do office stuff. I have office hours, but I'm also
Hmm.
out in the field um, for good reason. I need to understand that everybody knows what is expected of them. And the best way to do that is to teach by doing. Hey, follow this example. And that means lifting and walking, sometimes running, pulling, doing all sorts of different physical things. That's called farming. Um,
Hmm.
and It keeps me somewhat slim, actually. I sleep really well at night after a long day doing physical things. Um, it's rewarding, and I'd say that the physicality of the job keeps me sharp. I hope it does.
Good, very good. And that brings it to my next question. How do you manage your stress or decompress after a long day?
Well, that's a softball, Paul. The answer is cannabis.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
I'm a fan of the category, and it's really interesting. We've been in the dark ages for a while as far as how cannabis can be therapeutic. There was an for a long time people had thought of cannabis inside two different categories. One is indica, the other was sativa. Indica is always uplifting. Sativa is always, I'm sorry, indica is always relaxing, and sativa is uplifting and energetic. And it's simply, um, it's such a wild generalization as to not be true. But there's people are starting to understand, people that do studies on this sort of thing. The scientists that apply their brains to the cannabis business are figuring out different compounds: CBD, CBG, THC A, THCV, are compounds that can have effects that present themselves in different ways. So you can dial in certain therapies. You can expect a certain experience in a certain way. That's becoming more identifiable now, I guess I could say.
Mhm.
And I look forward to more advances in the chemistry of cannabis so that we can deliver different and very specific experiences to patients and consumers.
I agree. It is something definitely worth exploring,
Yeah,
especially by science. I mean, they complain about, the effects of smoking or the effects of alcohol, and they don't really talk about the effects of cannabis, which I think is stupid, considering it
sure.
is a plant, and
Agreed.
a lot of medicines are derived from plants. So,
Indeed, they are. Indeed, they are. And cannabis is safe and effective. And but I'm biased, so you'd expect this message out of me.
hey, I'm not complaining. That's the point of this podcast to get your
Uh,
input.
yeah, my pleasure.
Um, and that leads to my next question. Have you noticed how taking care of your body impacts your leadership or decision making?
I certainly do. I talked about moderation. I do believe that everything needs to be done in moderation. Consuming cannabis does. Um, don't overdo it in that regard. Get plenty of sleep is so important. I get tempted to skimp, and it never works out. So I religiously get 8 hours of sleep every night, and that's so helpful. Of course, cannabis can help that too, provided that you find the right strain or the right mix. But yeah, you certainly have to take care of yourself in order to be at the top of your game.
I quite agree, especially in your field because it's very intensive, especially with
Sure,
the farm work. So,
I
as you
agree.
said, you're a farmer. You work out just by walking the fields.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's well,
Oh yeah. No, I get it. Like I
yeah.
said, my father was a farm worker, so he taught me what he knew about that, and it was a lot of work, definitely.
Yeah, the folks that have lived and worked on farms for a long time develop a certain wisdom from the work. I think that it's almost sacred working with ground and the plants and the sun and water and wind. Um, so I appreciate your folks' perspective for sure.
As do I, because after all, I said this in another interview. I mean, farming goes back to primitive man, prehistory, and they were the
Sure.
ones who developed it in the first place, and it's been
Yeah.
going on ever since. So the fact that it's still going on is pretty impressive, considering a lot of other industries have kind of fallen by the wayside over the years.
We're getting better at it every day, in fact.
Yeah, especially with mechanization.
Yeah.
So I find that valuable too.
Yeah.
All righty. So it's amazing how much clarity comes from taking care of the physical side. Now let's talk about something deeper, your sense of being. What gives you that sense of purpose in your work?
Sense of purpose. I wish I could say that I adhered to some sort of organized religion. I think that would be really nice to have that assurance. Alas, I don't. It's not my cup of tea. So um, purpose. I don't know if that's a word that I think about too much. A sense of purpose. I do have a commitment to my team. There's no doubt about it. It's taken a while to find people that I work well with, and
Hmm.
I do have a responsibility to them. We have a shared responsibility, and we're mutually dependent. Um, if if my team members disappeared, I would feel that, and it's probably the case that if I disappeared, they would sense my absence as well. So if anything, it would be the esprit de corps that comes with working with an experienced team. That gives me purpose.
Excellent. Let's see. How do you maintain belief in your mission when the business challenges hit hard?
Hmm. Uh, the, your questions are downright philosophical, Paul. I like it. Um, the business challenges are hitting hard. You talked at the top of your podcast about the extra 24% tax that has been levied on cannabis businesses in Michigan. That's a really tough one that we can't do anything about. I would say that we look to our higher power or something like that, and just double down. Um, uh, we we work outside. Our cannabis is grown under the sun and the stars.
Hmm.
We can't control the weather. We can't control taxes. So we focus on those things that we can control, and do all of that as best we can. Um, so I would imagine that looking within is the key in this business.
I quite agree. And especially talking to your team, I'm sure that helps out too.
Sure. Yeah. No, we support each other for sure in the best way.
All righty. And that leads to my next question. Has your spirituality or philosophy shaped the way you lead your team or community?
Um, Certainly. Uh, I'll get wonky here because I have a degree in philosophy.
Hmm.
Uh, Kant says, act only by that maxim which you at the same time will to become universal law. Is that philosophical enough for you?
Yeah.
And I agree with Kant. He basically is stating the rephrasing the golden rule: do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. And I would say that that is my guiding principle. I want to be kind. I'd hope that others can be kind to me and to each other. Um, and It's a good policy. I tend to give as much respect as I possibly can, and I tend to get it in return. And that's a fine philosophy to live by, Paul.
Oh, I quite agree. All righty. I love that. Purpose really fuels everything. And of course, that purpose also shows up in how we connect with the people we love, which brings us to balance. So, my question to that is first one, how do you balance work and personal life in such a demanding industry?
Y- Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't. I have um, really done a bad job of that, so I don't know an answer to a good answer to your question. My my life is lopsided. It's unbalanced. I spend too much time uh, thinking about work and working, and that's one of the sacrifices I think that one makes in a nascent industry. Cannabis business is brand new and very old at the same time, kind of a strange thing. But there, like I said, in 10 years, the cannabis business will look quite different, I suspect, in the world, in the United States. And developing that into a mature business, developing the cannabis space into a mature space requires a lot of time. And there are some people out there that are giving it uh, for better or for worse. So if you wanted to, you know, shine a light on something that is a bit of a pitfall, I would say this would be one of them, and that is, it, uh, in order to do well in this business, um, to set goals and achieve them, I think that it's a really demanding space. Um,
Hmm.
I think that'll change, but for now, I need to work on that
Work.
balance. I need
Hmm.
to work on the balance. I need to improve the balance, and I'm not the only one out there who I'm sure is happy to admit that.
Oh no, I understand. I mean, a lot of work requires sacrifice somewhere.
Sure.
I mean, if you find balance, mazel tov. But if you don't, then yeah, you don't. I mean, I interviewed another fellow from Michigan, Drew Nowak, for Freedom Green Farms.
I know, Drew.
I interviewed him last week, and when I asked him the same question, he said, I try and focus on my wife and 6 kids, yeah, because they are part of my life. And I try to find balance for them, but it's not so easy because I'm handling, operations and everything. And, I think the saying is great progress requires sacrifice. I think that's the saying.
I,
So
it's a
you,
fine saying. So there is sacrifice. At what cost? Um, I think that's a personal decision for each one of us.
that is very true.
Yeah.
Very true. All righty. So, next question. What have you learned about keeping strong relationships through entrepreneurship?
Hey, that's a good question. Um, I'm sure there isn't a business on the planet that is not relationship driven. To some extent, the cannabis business is hugely relationship driven, um, and not just between buyers and sellers. I represent the seller side of things. We produce a product and need to bring that product to market. It's really handy to uh, know well who's buying your product in a B2B way, for examples of what I do. But my relationships tend to be work related. When I talk to my team members, my colleagues, we talk about work. When I reconnect with friends from high school or college, we talk a little bit about family, but we mostly talk about work. It's all consuming. So yeah, I'm relationships become uh, work oriented for me for some reason. I don't think I'm alone in that. But work and relationships are one and the same, I think.
Oh no, you're right. I agree with you. Uh, in accounting, relationships aren't a big deal unless you're doing taxes. The main thing they ask is you call you, they call you, you pick up. And unfortunately, in my profession, that's becoming a problem because a lot of accountants, unfortunately, aren't picking up their phones,
Hmm.
and that's annoying clients.
I get
And
that.
yeah, I posted on LinkedIn recently about that, and I said, no, this is not something you do,
Yeah, right.
especially if you want to keep those clients. I mean, like I said, AI is coming into accounting and it's rendering a lot of things we do obsolete. So if you want to keep your clients, so you work with them. In your case, since you're a seller, if you want to make sure that your product sells, you work on the relationships with others. I mean, you're right. A lot of businesses, a lot of industries rely on relationships. And if you don't keep them properly, it's not going to help you in the long run. So it's just
AI doesn't pick up the phone, for sure.
no.
And AI doesn't have uh, judgment, and you do, Paul. So I think I've decided that your job is safe. Not all accountants, just you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yours is definitely safe because we all need farmers.
I
That's
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
reality.
Interestingly enough, tomorrow I've got a meeting with a team at Carbon Robotics. They make
Oh,
farm robots. So it's
oh,
ironic that you say that my job is safe, but maybe I'll be replaced by a farm robot. Let's find out. Um,
yeah. I think you still got a ways to go. Farm
Probably.
robots can only do so much, especially in the elements.
That's
It's
true. This,
technology versus the elements.
this is a robot that basically mows down weeds. So that's a job that
Oh,
I'm happy to.
delegate.
Yes, the robots can have the mowing weeds part. It's not that rewarding, quite honestly.
No, I understand. I mean, I deal with little weeds, plants, at home, here at
Sure,
home, and yeah, it's not rewarding at all. It's stressful.
I get it.
All righty. Well, I appreciate your honesty. It's a reminder that leadership starts at home. Let's bring it full circle and talk about the business, where your vision is headed next. So that brings it to my first question. What are your biggest goals for the next 5 years?
Um, so there's the micro and the macro
Mm-hmm.
goals. Um, if micro is the right word, or maybe specific, it would be a better term. But I really want to see. Sorry, I'm going to get wonky again.
Go
But
ahead.
our yield per plant is around 2 pounds. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that double, and that's really possible. Um, if you look at corn production from that's been tracked since the 1940s in the
Mm-hmm.
United States, it was around 30. Don't quote me on this, but basically about 30 bushels per acre then, and now it's 200 in Iowa. Some counties, really fertile counties in Iowa, it's up to 300 bushels per acre. And I want to repeat that in the cannabis business. So that's a kind of a specific per plant yield is on my mind, and the macro would be to kind of take a successful model and expand on that. So we have a one farm in one spot, and maybe that could become two farms, maybe even in a couple of different states. Outdoor cannabis cultivation isn't tolerated in many states in the union. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Michigan is one, but there aren't enough states to hope to expand outdoor cannabis farming too very much, but that'll eventually change. Laws will liberalize, and so that would be the bigger picture I'm looking forward to. And throughout all of this, I will need the help and counsel of powerful accountant thinkers. So when I call Paul, pick up.
Happily.
Okay, good.
That's no problem.
Yeah,
Trust me, I advocate for that a lot because you don't ignore clients ever.
yeah, yeah.
That's like ignoring your mother. It doesn't work.
You're your mom at your own peril.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a rule for every mother. You don't ignore them. It doesn't work.
yeah.
You end up looking like pardon me, but you end up looking like an ass either way.
Sure. Yeah. Same thing with the clients, but you just end up unemployed when you ignore your clients. They're the boss.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I think John Wayne said it best in McClintock. I work for every customer that walks in and orders a 6-ounce T-bone steak, and you work for me. There's not much difference.
Yeah, that's right. I love that.
Hey, it's the Duke. How can you say no to the Duke? He's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
What do you see as the biggest opportunities in cannabis today?
Biggest opportunities. So I don't know if it's necessarily an opportunity, but it certainly needs to be a driving force, and that's scale. There are a lot of folks that have exited the cannabis business because it's become crowded. There was a
Hmm.
real rush to get into the cannabis business, and there wasn't room for everybody who wanted to be in it. Um, and therefore, now the conclusion is that the cannabis business is a terrible choice. Don't get into the cannabis business. And that's not exactly right. Businesses have cycles. Businesses have rules. Industry, the cannabis industry, has a certain demand and only needs a certain number of people to supply that demand. But the focus that I'd have is, as far as an opportunity goes, is on how to be more efficient and how to scale uh, to bring efficiencies through scale, I should say.
Hmm.
I think that's the biggest opportunity um, from the cultivation side. I'm not talking about processing, manufacturing of infused edibles, retail, all of those things. I'll leave those issues to the experts. But as far as my side of things, it's building efficiencies and building scale, and mechanization is one of the tools in that. But there's a lot of work to do in that space, and I call that opportunity.
I concur. After all, when it comes to cannabis, the main focus is cultivation because let's face it, the retail side, they're stunk without it. You need to grow the plant and they need to sell the plant. So,
It's the genesis of the industry, that's for sure. Everything's
yes,
got to start somewhere.
exactly. Exactly. So, what leadership lessons have you learned that you wish you knew starting out?
Okay, I have a couple of specifics that I can think of. I'll share one,
Okay.
and that is I love it when I can convince somebody that a certain concept is their idea. Now, if I ask one of my team members, if I want one of my team members to do a certain task on a certain day, my goal, my personal goal, is to um, present the task in a way that they figure it out. I don't like to explain in a the minutia of how to execute a task. I want somebody to figure out how to do it for themselves. That's rewarding for them. That's efficient for my time. It's taken me a while to learn how to rely on the inventiveness and ingenuity of the people around me, um, and that comes with time, I suppose. So in time, I've learned that to pick good partners and trust them.
Always the best thing, because if you don't pick the right partners, you're sunk. Right.
It's true. It's true. And then let them do their thing.
Yes. Oh, yes. All right. So that leads to my next question. When people look back at your impact years from now, what do you hope they remember you for?
Hmm. Um, oh, I don't necessarily have a specific thought, in terms of business, or a certain individual act, but I'd like to be remembered as someone who was kind and respectful. Um,
Hmm.
that's a problem, I think, because I think there are folks out there who don't care what their legacy is, and there's a certain freedom to that. Um, I'm not one of those folks. I'm actually worried about um, my legacy and worried about treating others the way I'd like to be treated, and that that takes that takes time. That's not the fastest way to get things done, but it's the best way.
I quite agree. After all, like we said earlier, building relationships is a foundation. If you don't do it, then you're going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Sure.
And this is something I'm learning myself, trying to build my business. So, eh, that aside. Anyway, that's inspiring. It's clear you're leading with both purpose and heart. So, and this is where we stop for today. Thank you, Kyle, for joining us and sharing your story. It's incredible to see how aligned you are embody being balanced in business. That's what true leadership looks like. For everyone listening, please make sure to follow Kyle Holland and Southpaw Strategies LLC to keep up with their journey. And as always, thanks for tuning into the CEO podcast, where we help cannabis CEOs increase cash flow, boost profits, and save thousands on taxes because most bookkeepers won't. Get your free cash flow and tax leak audit at luxfinancials.org today.
Hey, as long as we're doing plugs, come and see some great pictures of outdoor cannabis cultivation at spstrat.com. Hey, Paul, it's been a pleasure to visit with you. I think that you've got a very generous spirit, and I'm excited to the next time we have some time to spend together.
Sure. Let me go ahead and stop there.